Welcome to me. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate you guys all being here. This is the parents' meeting for the 2017 senior varsity team. My name is James Dugan. I'm the head coach. Beside me, this is Ricky Rosnick. Ricky's in charge of our disciplinary committee, and he's our defensive line coach. I'm totally kidding with the first part. This is Mario Tedesco. He's our team chef and offensive line coach. Our other coaches, unfortunately, couldn't be here. So we're going to go over a couple things today. If you guys have any questions, feel free to chime in whenever you feel the need to. I'm sure I'm going to miss many of things today, so whenever you see fit, please butt in, put your hands up. And if there's anything you guys want clarity on, feel free to ask as well. So the first thing I'm going to give you guys a little bit about myself. So I coached the Hawkeyes the past 2 years. I coached junior varsity, moved up to senior varsity. I played for the Hawkeyes my entire life. I went on to play university after that. Ricky as well, someone who played through the Hawkeyes growing up. Mario, he's from Pickering, he doesn't count, but me and Mario, we all played in university. So we have an experienced staff. I've known these guys for a long time. We all bring something different to the table, and I think we all give each other a good experience in terms of background and whatnot. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, something we preached to the kids all year so far, is we're starting something. We started it 2 years ago and to more effect at senior, is accountability. Okay, so something we've been doing a little bit this year, and I know that it's probably the number one complaint for parents, is that we are trying to hold our kids accountable in terms of, we don't want to have to give every message to everybody all the time. So in terms of when practices are, what times they are, and stuff like that, we're trying to give to the kids. I know sometimes it can be confusing. I know the kids are probably the worst people to give this information to, because a lot of the time they don't relay it. But from our end, a lot of the time too, if they're working part-time jobs, if they're doing these things, a lot of the time mom and dad can't call to get their schedule either, right? We're trying to prepare them for life after football, right? The reality is not a lot of kids go on to play the next level, whether it be the NFL, CFL, college, whatever, but they can take some of the lessons learned in football onto their lives, right? So we're trying to hold that accountability there. For some, it works really well, others it doesn't. We've been trying to do a little bit of both. In terms of that though, we are trying to have the kids talk to us about things. So in terms of any complaints from the kids, we talked about it as a staff. We talked about it within our executive. A couple of things. So one of my buddies actually, it comes from him. He's right now he's a university professor at McMaster University. Played Hawkeyes, the least likely guy you'd ever expect ever to be a university professor. He tells me he gets parent complaints all the time. These are from 20, 21-year-old students. Okay, so with that being said, if parents have a question, a lot of the time I'm going to want you guys to have your kids come ask me, right? I have no issues talking to you guys about it, but it's something different where the kid comes and talks to me, right? A lot of the kids, they're 16, 17, 18, 19 years old. Some of the kids on the team, I think all of them are eligible to drive, right? Most of them or some of them are eligible to vote. Some are even eligible to drink, okay? So that being said, I think they're able to give information to their parents without me having to send 16 emails and do stuff like that, right? So that's kind of the approach we're coming to. And, we're trying to hold them accountable for everything else in life, right? The next part we're going to talk about is AAA football. Yeah, go ahead.
You're utilizing the calendar online, so we can download it?
I believe we have been. That is not my, our executives and our GM are. I'm not in control of that. I believe it has been pretty good so far this year.
We haven't uploaded the schedule yet because we haven't received the some of the times, the game times from our away games.
It will be there.
It will be there as soon as we have the OVFL All-Star game this weekend, and hopefully it will all be distributed there on Saturday.
Yeah, unfortunately we have our own schedule for home games. The reason we haven't been diligent with giving it to you guys yet is because we don't want to give you something, it gets changed the next week. We give you another one, it gets changed the next week, and you've made 4 vacation plans and you can't solve it by then, right? So that's the reason we haven't been. It should be out by now. I'm probably the biggest advocate of this complaining so far, so I totally understand that. But yeah, the other one we're going to talk about is it is AAA football. There's not going to be equal playing time. As much as I'd love to sit there and say every player on our team is the same caliber and everybody gets in, unfortunately it's a 3-year age gap. All the other ages are 2, right? So in junior varsity it was 2 years. Bantam is 2 years. Pee Wee's 2 years. And seniors 3 years, right? There's a huge growth spurt. Your 17-year-olds playing with 19-year-olds. And within that, there's going to be a lot of guys who, some guys will struggle to see playing time. Some guys will get a lot of playing time. Some guys will see it in different areas than they were expecting, right? Some see it in special teams, things like that. What we will say is, in terms of equity for the players, whether we're up 35, down 35, something like that, they'll all get on the field. And I will say that there's not a kid on our team we don't feel comfortable with being in a game. Okay, we have not, like, for example, last year we didn't have cuts, but we had cuts. Okay, if there's anybody I felt that couldn't be on the field that I thought was in danger, they wouldn't be on our team. So far, there's not a single kid on our team that I don't feel comfortable with putting in a game. I will say that at senior varsity, more than ever, kids will tire out, kids will get injured, kids will miss games, kids will, things happen that you can't foresee that don't happen at JV and younger ages, right? Kids have jobs now, things like that. So it's something where we preach to them that, things can happen, right? Even though you're not necessarily getting a lot of playing time now, all of a sudden 2 weeks from now, you could be a guy we're really relying on, right? And that's something that we see every year, and it happened last year to quite a few positions for us, right? So I keep preaching to the kids, don't worry about now, right? Don't worry about today. Like, let's keep improving, and we reevaluate every week. So even though Johnny or Billy didn't get any playing time week 1, week 2 they might be starting, right? In terms of the word starters, I want to clarify this because we've had issues with this in the past. Starter, the definition, I guess you'd say, is the guy who's on the field for the first play of the game. So if he's on the field for the first play of the game and doesn't touch the field the rest of the game, would he be considered a starter? Right? But if someone doesn't start the first play but plays the rest of the game, are they a starter? Right? Special teams, it's now 3-down football. Special teams is going to be increased significantly now. Right? So if you're getting 70% of reps on defense and you're also on every special team, right, you might get more reps than someone who plays 100% of the time on offense. Right? So these are things we're trying to preach to the kids. And I know it's hard to understand now and all this, but at our age, we feel comfortable. There's 5 DBs on the field. Maybe we feel like 8 could play. So they're all going to be rotating. Things like that. Maybe we see, you're a faster guy, but you're not as good at tackling. So when we play a team that runs the ball a lot, maybe, you're not on the field as much as you would on against a team that throws the ball a lot. Things like that, right? So there's going to be different things that we come up with. I promise you the kids will be informed. There's not going to be any surprises. And if you guys have any questions with that, like I said, I would gladly talk to the kids about it. If they want to know how they can improve it, what the rationale is, things like that. In terms of playing time too, as a staff, we've come up with a couple of ideas in terms of how to approach it with kids missing time, missing practice, being late for practice, missing film, things like that. I know we have a strategy on offense. I think defense is doing the same thing. If someone sits there and says, hey, I'm going 3 weeks from now on a Thursday, I have an event with my family or something. We're going to be a lot more reasonable than someone who is sick every other Thursday, their grandmother's died 4 times, and they got schoolwork every Wednesday that they have to do Tuesday night, right? So it's something where if it's not a trend, we're not going to hold it against you. But if it's a trend, right? How can I sit there and look you in the eyes and say, although you might be a little bit better, someone else comes to practice all the time, knows what they're doing, and drives an hour to get here, versus you who lives around the corner and you're refusing to come to practice for no reason, right? And that's something that we're holding accountable to players this year, because the reality is, even if we let them get away with it, it's not going to help our team, right? We see kids following other players' trends, right? We've seen in the past where some players don't come as much, other kids see that and say, oh, I don't need to go now, it's raining out tonight, I'm not going to come, right? And all of a sudden it hurts the entire team versus it's just hurting a couple players. So we've been holding them accountable to that. They all know that. We talked about that Tuesday in the players meeting, just so you guys are all informed of that. I have told them, if they know about anything, please let me know as soon as you can. Right? There's a big difference telling me on a Thursday night you're not going to be there for a game Saturday versus telling me 3, 4 weeks in advance, right? I would like to at least prepare for it. The next one, if there's any complaints, which I'm sure there will be at some point, there's a protocol, okay? So 24-hour rule. I know I'm probably the best person to talk to about this. I'm quite the hothead, so 24 hours later I usually don't care about 85% of the things I freak out about during the day. So 24-hour rule, and then filter everything to the GM, who will then decide on the approach. So, if you come to me and say, I saw you hit my kid, it's a lot different than you come to me saying, Johnny didn't get enough water on the sideline, right? So filter to Colleen, or GM, and she will then make the appropriate measures, whether it goes above me to the executive, or she tells me to talk to you guys, or maybe she handles it herself, or maybe it's a positional coach, or something like that, right? We'll all be able to figure it out. And, don't be afraid to say anything. If there's something going on, you want clarified, you're the parents. For some of you guys, you're paying for your kids, if not all you guys, so you guys are the ones who need to be in clear with these things, right? So the roles of parents on game day. We encourage you guys all to come to games, cheer, be supportive. A couple of things though, on game days you can't be on the track, close to the field. I would appreciate if you didn't scream at refs and get them all against us like we've seen every game ever. So that's usually not a good thing. If I'm a referee out there and parents are all screaming at me, I'd probably be inclined to throw a couple flags against that team just to whatever, right? The other one that I thought about actually earlier today, You know, sometimes parents have different ideas than we do as coaches, right? What I'm hoping for, if there's any questions about philosophy, stuff like that, maybe come talk to us about it. What I've seen in the past is sometimes you'll see parents saying things to kids, right? You know, one of the things you'll realize is that in life, parents are the biggest influence on their kids, right? I'm sure all of you, if you guys talk to your kids, they're going to believe you more than they're going to believe us. So parents are sitting there saying, this coach sucks, he doesn't know what he's doing, he doesn't know what he's doing. We've seen in the past, kids come to me saying, I don't trust this guy, he doesn't know what he's doing, my dad said so, right? And that obviously causes a big concern, right? So, if there's any questions, please come to us with it, but, please trust that we know what we're doing, right? We all played university football, we've all played at high levels, and we have the best intentions of the kids. I don't have any kids yet, maybe one day. I don't like any kids better than others, right? I might know them a little better, but I pride myself on treating them pretty fairly, right? Whether I met you a month ago or I've known you for 2 years, right? I might really like a kid in the past and can't stand him now. I might hate someone and like him next week. I don't know, right? But at the end of the day, we're all here with the right intentions, right? We want to win games. We want to give the kids good experience. We want them to take something away from this year, right? That's the intentions of all of us, the intentions of the kids, and we can all come together and agree on that, right? So, there's nothing that's ever going to be like, he's friends with so-and-so's mom or his kid. That's not going to happen with us. I can promise you that. With that being said, that's all I have on my list of things here. So if you guys have anything you want to ask, anything to add, I encourage it. Any of you guys want to add anything, feel free. If our GM wants to add anything.
Well, the first thing I want to add is I'm actually not the GM. Bruce McNabb is our GM.
Oh, well, congratulations, Bruce McNabb. I wish you were sitting beside me.
Oh,
good. This is news to me.
Yeah, well, no, Bruce McNabb is going to look after all our game day stuff for us. I'm actually the governor of the team this year.
Oh.
I'm still looking after all this stuff. I've been looking after registration stuff, but Bruce is going to look after the game day stuff, and he's also available if you do have James just said if you have a concern, you can also go to Bruce as well.
Thanks a lot, Bruce. I've been trying to fire her for 2 years. So.
And also, Mark DeFreitas is our equipment manager, so thank you to him for that.
Yep.
And we have a couple parents here that have agreed to sit on our association's grievance and disciplinary committee, and that's John Mecker and Leslie Hurley and Barbara Kneebone, so I'd like to thank them for helping out. We also are going to require stick people this year, unfortunately, so I think Bruce is going to arrange that for us. So if you don't wish to volunteer, if we don't have 3 people for every home game, we are going to have to voluntold you, otherwise there will be no game. So
I would encourage people to talk to anybody they know in high school who needs community.
Yes, we can do that. We can have student volunteers do it. They will get hours. It could be siblings, whatever the case may be. And as well, we would like people to do our gate. I think we do have one for sure, but it's always nice to have 1 or 2 there or backups. I can tell you that our home games are May 20th, June 3rd. Right now, it's supposed to be July 1st, but I'm told that's probably going to get changed to July 2nd. And then the last home game is July 15th with a bye July 8th. So we're going to need 3 stick people for all of those games. And also, I'm not sure if you're aware, there is no busing this year to away games. Our furthest away game is Etobicoke. Or Brampton. Yeah. So there has been talk, the bus that we have this Saturday for the Jamboree is a school bus. There is no storage underneath it for equipment, so we're going to test it out and see how it works out. And it doesn't hold as many players, but ideally, if parents are going to the games, you're going to have to bring your player. If anybody has concerns with that, they can always email us. We would like to kind of poll the players, the parents, and see how many are going to require transportation to our away games.
So do you want them on the school bus, or do you not want them on the school bus?
He wants them on the school bus. I personally, I'm kind of opposed to it myself. I think they're going to be very cramped and uncomfortable on the bus, especially when there's nowhere to store the gear. They have pretty big bags.
Take the gear with us and have the kid on the bus?
You could, but they have to be there 2 hours before the game, so you're going to have to be there 2 hours.
Cool, that's fine.
Yeah, so that is a very good solution that nobody really
My
thought
2
of.
cents on this, just so I'd add in, just so we're all on the same page here. I believe in arriving as a team. I don't know how you guys feel as parents about kids driving. I know when I was 17 years old, I wasn't the greatest driver. My parents wouldn't really let me drive anywhere far. I was more locally with a pretty beat up car. I know, on game days, the last thing I want to be worried about is, Billy and Jimmy straggling in half hour late, or someone's lost, or someone needs gas, or someone to eat, and all that. Like all the external stuff it brings within not coming together as a team. is why I'm trying to push for some kind of solution to it. And even if it's school buses, right? I know it's not the most glamorous thing in the world, but it gets from A to B. So
Especially when you're trying to work with 40-something kids.
yeah, right. There's always gonna be something to look. Yeah,
I come from away.
yeah.
Would you prefer the kids coming to the game on the bus, or maybe
You know,
taking them?
I don't
taking them back?
feel a need for it if necessarily like if you're coming from somewhere where it's actually an inconvenience to come there, right? So if you're actually driving out of your way to come to Oshawa and then get on a bus or something, don't worry about it, right? That's totally, we're not gonna expect you to do that, right? But more or less, just like, you know, if you live locally and, you know, like I said, you know, I would trust more so kids coming with us as a team, right? Being there on time and dressing the part and whatever, getting there as a team, you know, getting in the zone on the way there, focusing on football rather than getting Burger King 10 minutes before they get there, and things like that, right? So just little things, right? If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. If they have to figure out a carpool, we will. We'll try to organize it ourselves, and hopefully there's still a lot of minivans kicking around that can fit 7. So we'll do our best, right? We'll make do whatever the situation brings, but you know, this is kind of the issue going on right now that we're discussing, right? 'Cause, you know, the last thing we want to do is sit there and say, yes, we're gonna need buses, and all of a sudden, like, only 18 of them fit on it or something. We haven't seen it yet, right? So yeah, the other thing I'll talk about is fees. We have told the players, we have posted it. For any of you guys that don't know about fees, I believe it's $700 for the season. That includes a jersey. We are asking that installments be coming in. They you know, we're hoping they would be by now. We want to make sure something's down before we give a jersey away. The rationale of that is our club has paid for them up front, right? What we don't want to do is give a kid a jersey. He decides to quit before week 1. There's no payments coming in, but we spent $150 something on a pair of jerseys, right? So that's more of the administrative perspective on things, but I'm trying to voice it as a concerned coach. Because the last thing I want to be doing is week 4, all of a sudden we're having a big game, and Billy and Johnny get pulled before the game saying you haven't paid yet, so you can't play, right? So if there's any concerns to that, please bring it to our governor. Give it to our Colleen. And, you know, we're pretty reasonable with it, so as long as there's some kind of plan in place, we'll be able to figure it out.
And the big thing right now is they need to get that OFA number. If
Yes.
you don't have it, they need that. That's their insurance. So if your player doesn't have insurance right now, they shouldn't be on the field this Saturday. Right? And we don't have a whole lot of kids signed up at the moment. So
It's Ontario Football Alliance. I
Yeah.
believe that's a site.
the link is on our website.
Yeah.
I emailed it last week or this week as well. If you need it, don't hesitate to email me and ask for it again. If you're not sure if you're registered or not, let me know. I can always go in and look and see if you've done it. And the OV. We only have 8 kids registered with the OV right now.
And wasn't I supposed to do that too?
What?
Was I supposed to
Yes,
register myself?
the coaches are supposed to register too.
Well, we're not holding ourselves accountable. We're supposed to hold these kids, so. So any other questions you guys have? Any concerns?
Did losing the stickers, is that from the refs association, or is that a cost-cutting measure of the league or the team?
This was a members of the league decision. They are actually part of the refs contract, and the members appealed to the league to get them out of the contract. It was very difficult for the OVFL to do it, but they did manage to negotiate it. It is optional. We could put them back in, but they're $120 plus mileage per game. So we're opting to keep them out if we can get the volunteers.
And you know, like, we have a lot of kids on our junior bantam teams that need community service hours for high school and stuff, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. But if any of you guys don't mind, or any of you guys know of anybody who needs the hours, or
We can also
wants
split
to
the,
help.
like, you don't have to do the whole game. You could do the first half, and then we can
Yeah,
have somebody.
exactly.
So if you want to say, okay, I'll volunteer for the second half of game 2, then at least we've got, you know, we can start building a list.
and you know, if you guys are experienced, if the ball's close, you pull it back, step back a little bit. Just don't get on YouTube. Anything else? Yes.
We're still doing like the toll at the gate, and then are we getting signed up for that?
What?
The gates. Are we still paying at the gates?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's still $5.
$5.
And
Okay.
for wearing Hawkeyes and then.
No, that hasn't been around since I've been here.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, somebody was nice to you.
Yeah. I wish that was just the case for seniors. We didn't have that last year.
Oh. Okay. Huh. I got a complaint.
Yeah.
Bring it to our governor now. Governor. We'll
Okay,
bring it
gate
to-
fees are now $10, but if you wear Hawkeyes, you're at spot.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we encourage that. Like I said, on game days, feel free to get out there, encourage the kids, right? Like it's enjoyable, right? I remember being that age. You know, you have night games, it's fun, right? So.
Well, actually, our first 2 games are early.
Yeah, so I will tell you guys, I will explain this to you. We do have a first game, get this off YouTube right Our first game is against Myers. We had a playoff game against Myers in the past, where Myers scheduled
Okay,
us
I
for a